welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and this is part number 3 on the 7th continent as we try to lift the Forbidden Sanctuary curse. If you haven't subscribed to the channel to this point, you'll want to join us as we'll be able to continue our journey and you'll be notified of every new video that comes out. Additionally, if you didn't check out the prior parts to this playthrough or even the unboxing or setup that led to this, check the link that's showing up in the top right hand corner right now and you'll be able to watch those to get caught up. If you have been following along, I will point you to the pinned comment of part number 2, the prior video. And the reason for this is I noted 3 things inside that pinned comment that I'm going to go over right now. The first thing of note in the pinned comment from part number 2 is all around determining the number of successes based on the 7s with stars that you have and the 7s that come out of the deck as you resolve your action. The full understanding of this can be found in that pinned comment. I won't go over it, but we might touch on it again the next time that I use 7s to my advantage. The second thing to make note of is around 29:49 of part number 2 when I combined an item. Instead of crafting the item first and then combining it, I slipped up and just straight combined it together. And thanks to my patron Andy Corbett who caught that, let me know, and I've now put that in the pinned comment, and going forward we'll be sure that we're crafting everything. The funny thing with that one is I actually knew that and just slipped up and didn't actually do the crafting action. At around 28:08, I forgot to take a 103 card after passing the temporary event in part number 2. So in order to correct this as best I can currently, I'm going to take that card right now. And that card states, "Your heart jumps at even the faintest suspicious sound. Anxiety mounts and the constant danger has you fearing for your life more than ever." And for clarity's sake, for those of you that don't want to jump back to part number 2 to find out why I'm taking this card, it was when I was resolving one of the 50 cards and we got the 444. And at that particular point in time, I had a temporary event pop up, and that temporary event should have given me this 103 card, but I glazed right past it. The unfortunate thing in this situation is that I'm now frightened. So this red state card is going to go into my hand along with the state card I have, which is for being tired, plus my character state card. So I have a couple cards out of the 3 that I need to deal with. Based on the comments I got in the prior video, everyone was looking for me to head west here and create a fire, so that's what I'm still aiming to do. In order to move from the location that I'm currently in, you'll see that the icon for the action is different than anywhere else. These are move action icons. This right here is specifically a ski or a snowshoe action, meaning it's really good that I happen to have the snowshoes in my hand when I jumped in there. The downside is I haven't crafted them yet, and the only way to get out of this snow-ridden card is to literally craft these snowshoes. So we have to do this, otherwise I am stuck here. So I'm going to go ahead and craft these. As you can see, no resources in the area to help me, so that wasn't very good. Probably should have crafted the snowshoes back here, but I didn't even realize that the action was going to restrict me to using them. So I definitely should have crafted them earlier, but gotta do what we gotta do now. So 3 cards are what we need to spend at the bare minimum. We don't need any successes, but we need to burn 3 energy to do this. Here are the 3 cards that I've pulled for this crafting of the snowshoes. We've successfully crafted it now, and I'm going to go ahead and take one of these cards and place it in my hand. I really like the war paint. The reason is it has the same keyword, which is stealth, as my camouflage outfit that I currently have equipped, so I could potentially craft this in the future to boost the durability of that camouflage outfit and give myself some additional abilities. Now I have an interesting decision to make here in terms of what I want to combine my snowshoes with. I can also choose to ditch something that I currently have in my inventory to make room, but it makes sense seeing as you just saw on the map, that particular spot with the snow, even though I may not want to return to it, is a necessary evil if I'm heading back to the Forbidden Sanctuary later on. So having these snowshoes sticking around for a while is a good idea, which is why if I was to choose to take the snowshoes right now and combine them with something like the shovel, you can see the keywords are not the same. So this would actually and can be combined with the shovel, as you can combine any items you want. The only downside is because the keywords don't match, you're not going to be able to bump up the durability of the item, which means once that last tick goes away, well, you're going to lose everything. And as you just saw, I got the War Paint card, which I want to keep in my hand to eventually be able to connect keyword stealth together to bump up the durability of this camouflage outfit. So I'm going to focus more so on having the snowshoes combine over here with the life jacket and the rope, which is underneath of it, which is giving me the ability down below here. Because a life jacket actually has a really high durability rating already. So again, if I connect this snowshoes to it, which has a keyword will, doesn't match skill at all, but it doesn't matter because I'm still gonna be able to take the benefit of these snowshoes whenever I need them, but it's all gonna be in relation to how many of these pips last. But I've got a lot better of a chance of that sticking around in the long run than I do anywhere else currently. Just like that, I've got a life jacket with some rope wrapped around it as well as some snowshoes attached. It's quite the item. Mary's now gonna go ahead and take this snowshoe action. 3 cards plus is what is being pulled, and I'll have to decide exactly how many beyond if I want to do that, and I need 2 successes. I'm going to reduce the durability right now of the life jacket item from 6 down to 5 to take advantage of any abilities on the life jacket, the rope, or the snowshoes. And that was the whole purpose of actually combining the snowshoes, was to take advantage of this right here, so I can take 2 less cards when pulling action cards in the deck for this particular action, and I get a success and a 7 with a star. So thanks to the snowshoes, I'm going to choose to take 2 action cards off the top of the deck and see how this pans out. Mary was very successful at moving out of that location and is now into what looks to be a forest area, so I get to choose one of these 2 cards, and just so you know, I got a total of 5 successes on that last one. I get 1 for the 7 shown, there's 2 full successes shown here. We can combine the 2 cards for half stars for another success, and I had a success on the snowshoes themselves. So that is a total of 5, far beyond what we needed, but a great pull either way. Do I want to take either of these cards is the next question. I'm choosing not to take either of the 2 cards that were shown, as I like the 5 blue skill card that I have in hand. However, I am going to go ahead right now and craft Friction Fire. And as you can see from the card, it costs 2 action cards to do this, but it's -2 if the wood resource is present, which it is, which means it's completely free to create. So I've now crafted this item just like that, and I'm going to combine it to the life jacket. So I've gone ahead and placed the Friction Fire at the very bottom of the stack for this item slot right here. The life jacket now has 3 things combined with it, and again, as I've talked about before, if the keyword of the item you're combining, which can be anything, doesn't match the top item that you got here, the life jacket, then the durability does not change. So it stays at 5 even though I just attached this piece down below. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reduce the durability of the life jacket, as I have to in order to do the action of this bottom area right here of the card we just crafted and combined. It states right here we're going to go ahead and try to place a fire or create a fire. We're going to pull 1 action card from the top of the deck, but we can pull more if we need to try to find 1 success, basically meaning we've successfully created a fire. If we pass, the fire starts and this card is discarded. This card only is removed, the rest of these 3 will stay. If we fail this, then this card is discarded and we have no fire. That's kind of a bummer. So we really want to make sure that this fire is successful at being created. So I'm going to choose to go ahead and pull 2 cards, and I think the odds are pretty good. Plus I have my character ability that I can discard a card in my hand that has the keyword skill, which would be the raft. And if I did this, I can then take the advantage of a 7 with a star. So that could help me out as well. That was way too close for comfort. The first card off the top of the deck gave me a heart attack. It was a curse, and then it was all down to that last card, and there is a success on it, thank goodness. So the fire is going to start, and we'll be placing a marker on the map where we currently are. Plus this right here, as it states, is discarded. I also decided to go ahead and snatch the Learn by Doing card, which can reduce the cost of an action that I'm involved in by 3. So that's definitely going in my hand. That'll be certainly handy. I have 2 of those now, so that's really going to help me with reducing the cost of things. And we now have fire at this location. So now that we have the fire created, we can finally eat and replenish our action deck. So we're going to go ahead first and reduce the durability of this entire thing right here of meat down to 2, as we're going to go ahead and we automatically are going to succeed at this without having to pull anything. It just says randomly take 3 cards. 6 6 if you have a fire resource from the discard pile, and shuffle them back into the action deck. So I'll be taking 6 random cards in the discard and then shuffling them back in. So as you can see, the die has been depleted down. We've successfully gone ahead and put 6 cards back in the action deck randomly and shuffled the action deck. And we're going to go ahead now and remove this card. It says return this, goes back to the box. And we'll do this 2 more times over to bring back a total of 12 more cards into my action deck. And we've also freed up an inventory slot in the process. Next, while I'm here, I'm going to choose to build or craft the raft. And the reason is because I get such a big discount with the wood. It's -3 for where I'm currently located. And you can see here it's 5 to build it. I'm planning on combining this with the life jacket to bolster it back up to 6. Plus, it's going to give me the ability to have some big time successes when I do a rest action or anything to do with swimming. And I plan to do a rest action right away in order to get rid of a tired state in my hand. So as I mentioned, the cost is 5 cards plus, but -3 for the wood, so it's 2 plus. But I have a -3 card that I'm going to use as a blue skill from my hand to reduce it to 0. And you don't need any successes to craft the raft, so just that easily, we have gone ahead and crafted it successfully without expending any energy. As you can see down below, the raft is now a part of this gigantic inventory slot, which is now maxed out. And because the keyword skill matches the keyword skill of the top item here, which is a life jacket, the durability is going to jump up to 6, which is pretty awesome. That is the maximum it can go, even though the durability on this raft would actually send it higher. You can only ever have 6. So that's still pretty good. That's another reason why I did what I did with the fire starter, essentially, by combining it with this item and then using it to knock the durability down and get the most bang for buck when I went ahead and attached the raft to it. Next, I'm going to deal with this red state card in my hand called I'm Tired, or You Are Tired in this case. And it is a rest, 0 cards plus pulled, and you need 2 successes. Well, guess what? If I go ahead and just use my life jacket and reduce its durability down to 5, I can choose every single ability that relates to that exact same action. So right here it states -1 and or a success. So I get 1 success for the life jacket. And way down here, because I combine it with the raft, I get 2 successes and a 7 with a star. That's beyond what I need. It's really cool combining these items together because you could imagine kind of having a raft laid out with the life jacket there as a pillow, and that's what you use to fall asleep on to get rid of the fact you're tired. And just so you guys can actually see my action deck, seeing as I don't always jump to that particular view, you can see how much that food really helped my deck increase. I've actually got more now in my action deck than I do in the discard pile, but not by much. For my next action, being that I'm in a space with a fire resource as well as a wood resource, I'm going to choose to go ahead and craft the club. And with that wood resource being there, it will be -1 on this check, so it's going to be only a pull of 2 action cards needed to go ahead and craft this. I could, and I'm debating because I am very tempted, to go ahead and use this learn by doing card that I have in my hand in order to remove any cost associated with crafting the club. I actually am very tempted, but it's not making full use of the card, so I don't necessarily really like that either. So I might hold on to it and just pull the 2 cards, because then I'll be able to grab something and put it in my hand. Right now my hand only has 2 blue skill cards and the 2 red state cards. I do have this red state card right here, You Are Frightened, and at some point I'm going to want to deal with this as well. The 2 cards I pulled off the top of the deck are the bolas again. It came all the way through my deck because remember we had that earlier, which was a result of our very first hunt, which got us some meat, and then it went in the discard pile. We ate, and it randomly got put back into our deck and popped up here again. And we got the woven basket. We have not seen the woven basket yet, so I'll read what this does. When this is in your inventory, the item it is part of may contain up to 3 additional item cards. So that's really making that 1 item slot very, very useful. However, the one thing I'm noticing though on this bolas is the fact that the keyword is aggressiveness, which matches exactly what I'm crafting with the club. And so if I go ahead and I've already successfully crafted the club, I'll in a second put the durability at 3 and put it in my 4th inventory slot. But later, if I was to take this and put it in my hand and I craft this, I can up the durability of the club and the bolas together, plus take advantage of the fact that it's going to really give me some seriously strong abilities. The bolas is in my hand now, and the club is in my 4th inventory slot. In the comments from the prior video, it was stated a few times to actually continue continue to explore west. And a few people even mentioned to completely avoid that cave, as I talked about earlier. So we'll keep doing that. We're going to keep heading west. I could also check north, and I might do it. We'll see how going west pans out for me. So let's go ahead and pathfind over here. And I immediately regret that decision to go west. As you can see here, we have found a large, disgusting insect, which is lurking ahead of us, and we'll have to fight it if we want to cross its territory. So as you can see, this particular card here is sitting. It does not need to be activated or actioned right now. I can choose to action it if I want to get rid of it. And of course, if I fail, it states at the bottom here, you're injured on the insect's spines. And then a character is going to take a 108 card. And that character is obviously going to be me in this case. If I pass it, then I get to discard this card and also take a 003 card, which if I'm not mistaken is probably an experience point. But you can see the actual combat requirement here is 4+ for the action card deck, and I need 4 successes. So this is where I'm going to want to take a step back. I just created or crafted the club, which on a combat action gives me 2 stars and a 7 with a star. That's pretty good, but remember I was talking earlier about potentially crafting the bolas and then combining it with the club? I think that's exactly what I want to do now. I guess the biggest downside of going ahead and crafting this right now is the fact that these resources, in order to reduce the action cards spent to craft it, are not in the spot I'm currently in. So the other question comes to be, should I go north first before bothering to craft and check out what's going on up there? Because maybe one of the resources for the bolas I can find up there and then craft it at a cheaper amount and come back. But of course, coming back means spending movement, which is going to cost me action cards, or I might find some kind of weird way to connect around here. You can see, in order to see this space in general, you'll see there's arrows coming out from all sides of it. So even if I go up here, it allows me to go over here on the off chance, and I have no idea if that's going to happen, I still can't get into this particular square and explore this one, which is going to be card 132, until I dealt with that. But I am kind of tempted to walk around and just kind of see what's there versus just immediately attacking the thing, as much as I'm tempted to do that. So I'm going to actually choose not to craft this. I'm going to change my mind, but I'm going to keep that thought in the back of my mind, and we might come back to it. The other thing to remember with Mary, and another reason why I want to wait, is the fact she has a really cool ability on her card. It says right here, if you move to a terrain card where there is an explorer or a fire figure, you can reduce the action cost by 1. So basically, if I end up in a space over here that doesn't allow me to eventually move over here and then interact with it and hopefully have a resource over here to create the bolas cheaper, I could just walk my way back to where I was at a reduction of 1 on the movement. So, it gives me a couple options there to try to work through this. So without further ado, let's go ahead and explore up north. It states, for whom the bell tolls, a body is lying in the grass. Rolling it over, you cannot suppress a dry heave as you recognize Susan, the cartographer you had befriended during the first expedition. What was she doing here? How did she die? You will probably never know the answer. You must take one of the following actions. With a shovel action, which ironically I have 1 durability left on my shovel, I can go ahead and bury my friend. And at that point I need to pull 3 action cards plus, and I have to get at least 1 success to be able to be successful at it. And then I can go ahead and, like I said, bury my friend. Otherwise, I choose to abandon the corpse to the scavengers. I think I'm actually going to use my shovel. Now, I know there's some of you that are probably going, don't use the shovel, you need it for the treasure. It's going to help you in reducing and being successful at eventually using that treasure map you have to dig up a treasure. And yes, that is true, but there are also action cards, as we saw throughout the deck, that allow you to go into the discard pile and pull cards out. So even if I lose this shovel to the discard pile, I could potentially remember it later and craft it later if I really need it. I think, and I am very intrigued to see what's going to happen when I go ahead and bury my friend. Plus, I think it's the right thing to do. And on top of it, I get to pull a 296. Now, whether it being the right thing to do in the game of 7th Continent, well, there's a lot of chance and risk involved with that. So we're going to go ahead and remove the last point of durability from the shovel. This is going to give me access to its abilities while making the dig to go ahead and bury my friend. -2 to this check, that is 3+, so it really is changed to a 1+, and I can choose how many more past the 1 do I want to pull to try to get the 1 success I need. This is the tough part. I don't want to really waste too much time, and I do have, or I should say too much energy, I do have a 7 with a star. So not only do I have a pretty good chance of pulling just a regular star, but I also can convert just a 7 to a star. So my odds are even more in my favor. So I'm really tempted to just pull the 1, and I think I'm going to stick with that idea. Yup. And it was perfect. It's exactly what I wanted, and everyone's gonna think that I cheated. And it's because I literally just described this card. This is awesome because I'm gonna be able to keep this card too. So you can see it gives me the success I need to not only be successful at burying the body, but also gives me the ability to remember and bring back this shovel if I need it. Pretty awesome. Card 296 states, you go on your way with a feeling of accomplishment. Banish this. And in the very bottom left-hand corner, the keyword is funeral. So that's exactly what just occurred here. We buried our friend, we had a funeral, and I'm feeling a bit accomplished, as much accomplished as you can for finding a long-lost friend from a previous expedition and burying them. I guess you probably feel more sad. And with the action complete, it also states to banish this card as well. The card states, although the snow is still deep in places, most of it has melted, leaving the soil drenched. Well, that was a tad unexpected and not exactly what I wanted to see. It looks like more snow is popping up here. Now, I thought all the snow we saw to the southeast there, the pocket of snow in the bottom right, basically, that we just passed through was the only pocket of snow we were going to see, but the card narrative there that we just revealed spoke to some snow appearing, so I'm not surprised to see some, but I don't like that it appears to be trailing off to the northwest, which is exactly the direction I seem to be heading. So it looks like my snowshoes that are now a part of the life jacket item slot are going to come in handy as I try to trudge through this snow to find out what exactly is going on over here. So the question really becomes, do I want to go ahead now and combine the bolus with the club? I have to craft it first. And if I do, I can then go after this creature and not probably have too much trouble, if any trouble at all, taking it out. That's probably the best bet to see if maybe there's a drier path and one that doesn't require as much action cards to move through as it does to go through the snow. But at the same time, I also still have those snowshoes, so the snow movement shouldn't be all that bad, but it's combined with a bunch of other really useful cards, and the durability die will take a big time hit as I use it. So I'm going to go ahead and craft the bolas, and again, don't have any resources that will reduce as I talked about earlier, so we're going to be pulling 2 cards off the top deck. I could use the card in my hand to -3 away from this in order to make it completely free, but again, I'm going to hold on to that until I get to something that actually uses all 3. So for now, we'll pull 2 cards and see what we get. Hey, I like this pull. This is good. We got ourselves the Examine the Notes card. This is the one that allows me to go ahead and examine card 50, which, if you remember, allows me to go ahead and trigger, potentially using the clue from the Forbidden Sanctuary, to find a number code to hopefully find something that involves a secret for the Forbidden Sanctuary. So that is definitely what I'm taking. The bolus is now connected to the club and is up the durability from 3 to 4. I plan to use this combined item right here on my attack, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce the durability from 4 down to 3. This is going to give me, if I choose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes, as well as 3 7 stars. Now, the interesting thing to note is I'm required to pull 4 action cards regardless of the fact that I have so many successes out of the gates. So what I'm going to do in order to knock that down so I'm not expending a lot of energy is I will be using my Learning by Doing card, which will knock it down by -3. So now I only have to pull a single card, and I already know I'm going to pass this. And wouldn't you know it, not only did I just use the Learning by Doing card, but I got another one as a result. As a result of taking out the insect here, I gained 1 experience point, so now we have a total of 4 of them. This tip here states, eating cooked food enables you to regain far more cards than raw food. Remember to make fire. Remember, food cooked 6 cards from the discard pile back into your deck. If it's raw, it's only 3 cards. That's why I created fire, and that's why I waited to eat all the food that I had. 132 states, the area appears to be clear of any danger. However, a few fresh tracks suggest that some animals have passed through here recently. Well, this is interesting. There is some dry area to walk around here. Again, I have those snowshoes, so I mean, either way I'm good, but it's nice to see some area that's cheap to traverse through. This is only a 1-cost movement, so that's nice. The one thing to note on this card that we just talked about was the tracks, and you can see them visually right there on the card. Now, my understanding is, well, this is the fun part. Are the tracks leading to the cave we already checked out and realized that there was a loud screech echoing through the tunnel that we didn't exactly really want to interact with or head further into? Or is it talking about tracks that are leading in the opposite direction? Now, the only reason I'm thinking that these tracks actually lead behind us where we've already been is there are a set of tracks closer to the cave over here, and I was questioning that earlier on. So I'm thinking it all leads to that cave, and I'd rather not go there anyway because I just didn't think I was prepared at the time, and now it's kind of out of my way as I'm more so focused on heading west. So we may have nothing to worry about going this way. The thing I am worried about though is I do have a state card in my hand called Frightened. I don't want this to get any worse. So being that there are tracks in the area, and as much as I think it has to do with the cave, I think we're going to try and focus on getting rid of our frightened condition. Now, what makes this a little rough is the fact the actual state card is a pretty decent check. I mean, we have to go ahead and pull 1+ cards in order to get 3 successes. So we're gambling here that we're going to be able to pull this off, and I don't want to waste cards either. So it's very interesting. Now, do I have any cards in my hand that could potentially help me? I don't have anything that could trigger my character's ability, which would allow me to discard anything with the keyword skill. I don't sadly have the keyword skill in my hand. If I did, then I would get a 7 with a star thanks to Mary Kingsley's ability at the top here. That's not going to be an option for me, so I am going to be going fishing through the deck. I do, however, have that Remember card, which I could pull a card back through the discard pile in order to grab something that guarantees me 1 success. But that seems kind of, well, desperate, and I don't really want to do that. I kind of want to rely on my deck for now because I have another plan for that Remember card that might not even involve the shovel I was talking about earlier. So let's just go ahead here and pull 3 cards, and I know this is quite a bit to pull, but I got a plan to get these cards back into my action deck. And that, my friends, is how you barely pass a check. I literally thought I had this in the bag. The first card off the top was this one right here, so I was feeling pretty good, but really to me this is only 1 success, as a 7 means nothing because I have no 7 stars anywhere else. And then I got another star, which is nice, but then I started to sweat a little because I was going, well, what are the chances I have a blank or a half star that doesn't pair up? But thanks to this card right here and getting a half star on this one here, I can physically connect these 2 cards together, which will give me the 2 stars right here and the 1 up here for the 3 that I need to get rid of that frightened condition. So it states right on it, I can go ahead and return it. Now I have to make a decision on the 3 cards that I pulled. Do I want to put any in my hand? I have 1 more spot before I hit my limit of 5 blue skill cards in hand, and I got another Remember card that popped in here, and I've already got one in my hand, but I would gladly take another of these because being able to pull the shovel into my hand and then maybe grab something else that could help me later on could be huge. Again, you don't have to expend any action cards to use this. You guarantee get to pull it from the discard to your hand. It's super handy. The splint could be really handy later on when things get nasty for me, but I can always use a Remember card to get it back. Remember that. Remember. Learning from your mistakes and -3. We've seen this before. That's always good, reducing the action cards, but I still think this is the one I want. Now I'm going to go ahead and take an action from one of the blue skill cards in my hand called Examine the Notes. We are going to try to find ourselves a secret, which is something that I've been trying to do at least once, if not more, every video so far, as we try to get, well, if we can get all 6, that'd be fantastic. We'd have an even better and more clear picture of what to do when we go back to the Forbidden Sanctuary, but this would get us to the halfway point, so fingers crossed. So what do we need to do for this? We need to go ahead and take this action, which is pull one card for one success. I have no way to influence this with anything in my hand, so we're just pulling from the top of the deck and hoping for the best. Let's see how it goes. It goes absolutely terrible. We did not pass. We got a curse. We can't even take that into our hand, nor would we want to. The one thing to note though, when you do get a fail action on one of these actions that don't have a black area, because normally when there's a fail condition you just read it out, you might think that you discard the card, but you actually don't. The card is still in your hand and you can still play it again if you want to. This particular card is going to drain me of energy as I try to get through it. All right, so that is just cruel. There was 2 curse cards back to back. I don't like it. I'm going to still push forward because I want to find a secret. Finally, and this is the best title ever, it's called Learning from Your Mistakes. And clearly I didn't do that in the last couple pulls, as I saw the exact same curse come through twice over and hurt me. So I spent a lot of energy to do that. Thankfully, this card, when I get to put it in my hand, is going to save me some action cards or energy later on. Going ahead and using the clue card for the Forbidden Sanctuary, which states I can go ahead and take 3 of 4 450 cards when resolving a 50 card action, or pull I should say. It resulted in a 4-1-4, which is Death, the Butterfly, and the Spiders. Let's go ahead and pull this one. However, it's impossible to pull a card that you have already pulled out of the box. There's nothing there to pull for 4-1-4. So, as the clue card states right here, it says, if you go ahead and try to take the card bearing the number you have created, and you can't, and it's not there, you may return the 3 450 cards you took and start over from step 1, which essentially has you taking the 3 cards that are revealed right here, putting them face down, adding the other 450 card that I didn't end up pulling, shuffling them together, and pulling another 3. 444 is another one that we've previously pulled, so we'll be doing this again. Next pull was 441, and this card is inside the box. Following your instinct, you pull your journal out of your satchel and open it to a random page. To your great surprise, you find a Secret of the Sanctuary 2 of 6, a partially faded enigmatic note. Room X. Make sure to choose the most represented animal. If your life is at stake. Now at this point, I have found every combination possible in terms of a hundreds position, tens position, and a ones position based on the numbers that can possibly come up in combination. As you can see here, these are the only options on the 450 card, and we've seen them all at this point. So essentially, you can remove one of the 4s because it really doesn't matter when you're talking about a 3-digit, numlock. We have 441 as an option, 414 as an option, or 144. And as you can see right here, all of those secrets I have found over the last couple videos are all in my hand now. I have all 3 of them. So there shouldn't be, unless I'm missing something, anything else to pull from this exercise with the clue cards for the Forbidden Sanctuary, at least in this fashion. So that is quite interesting. However, on the card, there is still this icon down here in the bottom left hand corner, which is going to come in handy eventually when we run into symbols that will then use it. But beyond that, using this to actually go ahead and resolve a 50 card exercise doesn't seem to have any more future results for us. So Mary has a decision to make here. I do want to explore a little bit further west, but before I do, I want to make sure my action deck is a little bit more replenished. And if you remember earlier on, we found this area right here where we can actually go fishing in order to try to find stuff. Well, guess what? I looked through my discard pile, which you are allowed to do, and because I have these remember cards in my hand, I want to pull a card from my discard pile into my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this remember card right here in order to pull a particular card that's going to help us with fishing. And that's this one right here. You can see when we do the fishing action, it states here you may take one additional 200 card, and 200 cards are what you get as a result of your successes when fishing. So really this will boost our ability to get more food. Or take 2 additional 300 cards the active player chooses, even if the action was a failure. And this is why it's so huge, because for me, I have absolutely nothing currently that's going to help me with making sure that the fishing is a success. I've gone ahead and discarded the remember card, added the new card to my hand, and I'm going to make a move action. And based on this move action, you can see it's 2 to move, and I can move on a continuous path where you see this particular grid symbol with the arrows pointing 4 ways. So I can move from here all the way to here for just pulling of 2 action cards. Let's go ahead and do that. But instead of actually pulling the cards from the deck, how about I use a card in my hand to actually just get rid of the cost completely to try to keep our action deck in tip-top shape. So I'm going to go ahead and use this in order to reduce the cost down to 0, and this will now be discarded. And now we're going to go ahead and do some fishing. So I'll pull 2 cards off the top, and we'll hope for as many successes as possible, and I'll definitely be using that card I showed you earlier to boost things, or if we fail. A very successful fishing trip, it seems, as I got 2 character cards and they fit together to give me a 3rd star, which is pretty awesome. So that's 3 stars right there for the 2 character cards. And I'm going to go ahead and do this as well, which is going to allow me to take an additional 200 card if I want, or if I want to, I could take 2 additional 300 cards. I have to make that call. Now this is exciting. This is the pull that I just took out of the ocean. I chose to go with 1 additional 200 card. So being that we got 3 successes on the check, I pulled 3 200 cards and then 1 more additionally. I ended up getting 2 blue fish cards. And if you'll note at the very bottom of the blue fish card, it states here, take 2 002 cards. If you have revealed at least 1 other blue fish card, which I did, you have found a shoal of fish, take 2 additional 002 cards. So basically, we are likely to get a whole bunch of meat. So that's really good if we want to go with that. Now, how this whole thing works, it states right on the actual action we took, which is just off screen here, but I'll bring it over. I'll put it right here. So it does state, reveal all of the cards from the successes, and if at least 1 involved character is bloody, you must discard 1 of these cards without the keyword predator. So I'm not bloody, so I don't have to worry about this right now. Then choose 1 of the remaining cards, which represents your catch. Now this is going to be interpreted, and you have to think about this thematically, because when you look at this, you're going to go, wait a minute, I went fishing and I pulled out a bear. That will probably be your first initial thought. And you also look and go, oh, look, a snake. Like, did I pull all this stuff out at once? No. You actually, by having more successes, have more options in terms of what your catch is going to be. But think of it more so like you're more successful at seeing the different creatures in the area that you could potentially hunt and take down. So yes, I could go after the fish that I was obviously fishing for, but potentially there was a bear at the lake, or it's not a lake, but a bear at the ocean as well, or an aquatic snake which was going by. And I can choose to go after one of these. So I could obviously go with the blue fish, which are completely safe, guaranteed to give me some meat, and it's going to give me a total of 4 because it's a big old school of them. Or I could be really, really greedy. I could go after the horned bear. And the reason I'm slightly confident about this is because I've combined a club along with the bolas, and that is giving me, when I go into a combat action, a guaranteed 5 stars with 3 7 stars. So if I even land 1 lucky 7, I am going to kill this bear. Plus, I have to pull 4 cards just to fight him, so the odds of me landing a 7 are even higher. It's just got me a little bit excited, and I really, really want to risk it. As you can see, if we choose the bear as the one that we're going to resolve, we are locked into a combat. And I can tell you right now, based on the success and the loss conditions, this is going to get ugly if I fail. It states at the very top, an angry horned bear rips up before you, ready to slash you to ribbons. Now, if we're successful, we're going to butcher the bear and acquire a bunch of cards. Likely ones that'll be good, and likely a decent pile of meat, you would think. And there might be some other things we'll gain as well. Down below it states the bear's lethal claws slash you repeatedly. 1 random individual character, which is not random in this case, Mary would be taking all that pain, takes a 104 card and a 105 card, and must discard 1 card with the keyword companion from their hand. So let's go ahead and pull the 4 cards and see if we can take down this horned bear with our club and the bolas combined. We are looking for a 7 or stars. All right, so we got 1 star and a half star. All right, so we are up to 6.5 stars, although the half stars don't really count, but they can if we can join them later. Let's keep going here. There's another star. That's good news. So now we have a total of 7 stars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. That, like, I'm telling you, that item is huge. The timing of that, by having that, it really helped. Of course, I would have just taken the fish if I hadn't had the weapon, but it's crazy to be able to go after a bear at this point. And we'll go with 2 more cards. Next one is a 7, and that's enough. Now, I still have to pull the other card anyway, but that 7 converts my 3 7 gold stars across my club and my bolus, which I'm going to activate, giving me 3 additional stars. So now we're at 10 stars total, which is insane. And then another half star, which connects, which makes 11 stars. Pretty crazy. Out of the 4 cards that I pulled to take down the horned bear, I'm going to put the deadfall trap in my hand, because later if I craft it with the aggressiveness keyword, I'll be able to pair that with my club and I'll be able to increase the durability of it up to 4. Now, in my excitement to actually go ahead and take down the bear and take a look at what I got during my fishing expedition, I forgot to actually take one of these 2 cards, if I wish, into my hand. The good news is, even right now, I only have 4 blue skill cards in my hand, so I can definitely go ahead and take one of these and put it in. So I've got 2 options here. One is whatever the cost, and the other one is leadership. Again, this came from the pull in order to do the fishing itself. So which one do I want to place in my hand is the question. So whatever the cost here states, you may discard this during the result step of an action you are involved in order to apply the following effect. Randomly draw 1 additional card from the discard pile, adding its successes to the total. That's pretty awesome. If the action is a failure, each involved character takes a 101 card. Okay. Leadership over here is each involved character returns their tired and or frightened states. That would have been good to have right around now, so I wouldn't have had to bother trying to get rid of my frightened state earlier. Each involved character that thereby returned at least 1 state may put 1 blue card from their hand on top of the action deck and discard this. So that's pretty good. So that's a nice way to manage not only your action deck size and kind of give something back to it, or put something back in you're not planning on using, but also get rid of conditions that are not so hot. Now, I want you guys to see over in the corner how depleted my action deck is right now. It is crazy, crazy low. So this is another one of the reasons why I was like, do I go for just a handful of fish, which will get back, you know, a decent amount of cards, or do I go after something crazy like the bear? Right now, I am holding on to just 6 cards left. And as you know, if I run out of those 6 cards, then this deck is being shuffled to flip back over. And if we pull a curse, that's game over. But let's focus on the fact that we have taken down and butchered this bear, which is going to give us a ton of food. At least I'm hoping anyway. It states take 1 003 card and 5 001 cards. You remember these words whispered by Emily Z, the zoologist from the previous expedition. I only knew a few of the wild animals we had to face so far, but experience tends to show that when it goes to shh, everything is fine, while when it goes to shh, you may want to get ready for a fight. Hey, I like this. We get another experience point. It says, tip, the continent is home to formidable creatures, so no matter what you like best, fighting or stealth, make sure that you are always prepared for the worst during your exploration. I think that's why I was like, when I get that club and that bolus, I am putting those things together just as much as I'm excited now to go ahead in the future and take the deadfall trap, create that, and combine it in as well to make that weapon even stronger. And here are 5 of the 001 cards that I just collected. This is the reason why I really wanted to go after the bear. I knew it was going to produce some big time meat, which we're going to be able to get and replenish our action deck. So just to note, the club is now down to a durability rating of 4. We crafted it. We also bumped it up. It originally was at 3. Then the 1 extra from the bolus being attached to it is 4. We used it the first time to take out that insect critter, so that knocked down its durability by 1 to 3. And then we just used it again on the horned bear, so now it's down to 2. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm hoping to bump that durability back up with the deadfall trap and add even more power to that weapon. It's going to be quite the thing. Now, as you can see, life jacket hasn't really been touched too much yet. This combined item is pretty impressive as well and has lots of durability still left. Meat here is at a durability of 4 as I've stacked them all underneath themselves, ready to head back to the fire and cook those up. I've also, with the 5th one, combined it here with the camouflage outfit, and I don't have to worry. Again, you can combine anything, so you can just think of it thematically as taking the meat and combining it or hooking it to the side of my gear to bring it back with me. It's an action that I can take separately in order to cook it still and return this one without it affecting the die whatsoever. And last but not least, we have to take a 105 card. And this I'm not really that surprised about. When you're going to attack a horned bear with a club that's combined with a bolus, you are going to get bloody. So how do I get rid of this condition if I want to? Well, you can see right here on the card, I need to do some swimming, and I am literally right beside that action right now. So this is going to be the end of part number 3, and I'm going to go through a couple things I want to ask you guys as to what I should do next. So the first thing is around this bloody condition that I have. Should I bother to swim across to the opposite side and then come back over to the 7th continent to go back to the fire, to eat my food, and then to continue exploring west? Or, based on the fact we know now that we have all the secrets we can get from the combination of cards we have, should we swim back over to the other side and head into the Forbidden Sanctuary, hoping we're going to find the rest of the secrets somehow inside? That I'm very, very hesitant to do because I don't think we found everything we need, but maybe we have enough to piece something together here. Either way, the first big question is, do I bother getting rid of the bloody condition that is on me? The other thing to note is my action card deck right now. If I was to literally be at the fire, which I can get to for free thanks to Mary's ability on her card that allows me to get back to a location that has a fire with a -1 for the action card pull, and this is only 1 to move from here all the way back, so later I'll be able to get there for free. As of right now, I have, I think, about 33 or 34 cards in my discard, and the 6 times the 5 food items that I have give me 30 back into my action deck when I eat them. So I'm literally going to be replenishing almost every single card except for just a few. So it just comes back to that question, do I want to spend the 2 or the 1 action, depending on which direction I'm going to head, to get rid of the bloody condition, or do I just head west, eat the food, and continue onwards with that condition and hope to get rid of it later? There's a lot to unpack there, so I'm really interested to hear what you guys are going to say in the comments below as to what I should do next. So I am very interested in that. So before we go, I'm going to show you guys each of the secret cards again, and the treasure cards. You guys can try to see if you can piece anything together for yourselves. Here is the original clue card for the Forbidden Sanctuary. Secret of the Sanctuary 1 of 6. Secret of the Sanctuary 2 of 6. And finally, Secret of the Sanctuary 4 of 6. And lastly, the treasure map, which we have yet to find the correct location for yet. The final thing we do to clean up the very last major action that I did, which was to do some fishing, is to banish the green card that was there based on the fishing option that I had, thanks to resolving it and placing a gold card there for the same number, which is 115. It says the fish are getting rarer and increasingly wary. You will need to be quite patient to catch any. So as you can tell here, me going and slaughtering a bear right next to the water probably frightened all the fish away for a while. So it does give me the option to come back here and fish, as it mentioned on the narrative on the opposite side of the card, except my chances at finding something have likely changed quite a bit. And that's going to conclude part number 3 for the 7th Continent playthrough. Can't wait to see all of your feedback, suggestions, strategy, and everything else you think I should do going into the next part or episode. Thanks again for all your feedback in the prior episodes. Can't wait to continue this adventure with you to see how long I can survive. For now, Mary is quite content with what she was able to progress through in this episode. Thanks again for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.